Good afternoon and welcome to Spectrum Television News at noon. I am Uyai Imam, coming to you live from Uyo, the Akwa Ibom State capital. Let's take a look at the headlines. Humanitarian Minister Doro assures displaced Nigerians of rehabilitation and protection. NAFDAC to begin enforcement of sachet alcohol ban in December. In other news, Syria signs up to U.S.-led coalition against ISIL. We'll bring you the details of these stories and more in a moment. Good afternoon and thanks for joining us. We begin this afternoon with the nation's leader, President Bola Tinubu, who has said that government is committed to improving the country's electricity supply and enhancing livelihood of Nigerians. He stated this at a meeting with a delegation from an energy company led by its managing director of Middle East and Africa, Diatma Siosdefa, at the presidential villa in Abuja. In a statement issued after the meeting by the special advisor to the president on information and strategy, Bayo Nanuga, President Tinubu stated that the completion of the phased power project will give Nigeria a place of pride on the continent by harnessing the latent potential in human and material resources across various sectors. The president also directed the expansion of some major transformer substations from 2 to 3 phases to boost the country's power supply. The president assured the delegation that the government will continue to provide the needed resources for the power project. Away from that, the federal government's investment in digital and creative enterprises IDES program has announced plans to launch 2 additional funds for the technology and creative sectors next year, targeting investments in startups across the country. The announcement comes as the chairman of the IDES Steering Committee, Vice President Kashim Shettima, described the formal kickoff as an exciting milestone that will leverage the potential of the country's youth. With this development, IDES joins other institutional investors, including the International Finance Corporation, IFC, Standard Bank of South Africa, and British International Investment, BII, in the new fund, which has achieved a $64 million first close and targets a final close of $75 million. Vice President Shettima emphasized earlier that the commencement of investing by IDES is an exciting milestone and a leap forward in the determined efforts of the government of Nigeria under the leadership of President Bola Tinubu to deliver on the country's vision of unleashing the full potential of Nigeria's young people in line with the Renewed Hope agenda. In the meantime, the federal government has urged Nigerians to remain calm in the face of the ongoing diplomatic spat between the United States and Nigeria. The Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, made the appeal in Dutse, Jigawa State, during a courtesy visit to the governor of Jigawa, Umar Namadi. According to the minister, President Tinubu has all it takes to secure Nigeria from destabilizing elements, as well as mend any cracks in the nation's relationship with the international friends and partners. The minister is in Jigawa State to attend the Northwest 2025 Youth Party and the presentation of the achievements of President Tinubu after 2 years in office. The Federal Ministry of Education has written to the Vice Chancellors of federal universities through the National Universities Commission demanding detailed figures for outstanding promotion arrears, salaries, third-party deductions and pension arrears. The directive was contained in a memo signed by the Deputy Director, Universities at the Federal Ministry of Education, J.N. Akwa. The move followed an announcement by the Minister of Education, Dr. Tunja Lausa, that 2.3 billion naira had been released for the payment of outstanding promotion arrears owed to lecturers. It further stated that the information is required to furnish the Nigerian University Pension Management Company with the necessary details to facilitate payment. Elsewhere, the Federal Ministry of Steel Development and its defense counterpart have signed a landmark memorandum of understanding to commence the local production of military hardware. The MOU also covers the construction of a military-industrial complex at the Ajakuta Steel Territory in Kogi State. The MOU, which contained two key components, was signed between the Steel and Development Minister Prince Shuaibu Aldu and the Federal Minister of Defense Bello Matawale. The second agreement signed was between Defense Industries Corporation of Nigeria, DICON, and the Jakarta Steel Company Limited at the Ministry of Defense headquarters in Abuja. The partnership signals a new dawn for Nigeria's industrial and security advancement and is part of the federal government's renewed commitment to addressing Nigeria's security challenges and advancing national industrialization objectives. Prince Aldo described the partnership as a historic breakthrough and one of the most significant developments since the establishment of the Ajakuta Steel Complex nearly 50 years ago. He explained that the collaboration would see the engineering workshops at Ajakuta repurposed for the production of military equipment such as bullets, helmets, vests, and rifles, while a portion of land within the complex will be allocated to the Ministry of Defense for the establishment of a military-industrial complex. In the meantime, the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction, Dr. Doro, has assured displaced Nigerians of the federal government's commitment to their rehabilitation and protection. Addressing journalists in Jos Plateau State, Doro emphasized that his ministry's vision is to make hope a reality for the poor, displaced and vulnerable. The minister, who was recently sworn in by President Bola Tinubu, outlined his strategic priorities, including strengthening social protection systems, expanding access to poverty alleviation programs, and ensuring humanitarian support reaches those in need. He further promised to collaborate with state governments, local communities, and development partners to strengthen social protection systems, expand access to poverty alleviation programs, and ensure that humanitarian support reaches people where they are and not just where cameras go. In a separate development, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, has declared the former Minister of Petroleum Resources and former Governor of Bayelsa State, Timmy Perez Silva, wanted. In a statement signed by its spokesperson Delio Yewale, the commission said Silva was wanted in connection with an alleged case of conspiracy and dishonest conversion of 14,859.2 million. It stated that the amount was part of the funds injected by the Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board into Atlantic International Refinery and Petrochemical Limited for the construction of a refinery. The EFCC said it secured a warrant for the arrest of the former minister at the Federal High Court sitting in Lagos on November 6, 2025. Now to Africa. Egypt has launched the first phase of its parliamentary elections to choose members of the House of Representatives. Reports say nearly 63 million eligible voters are going to cast ballots to choose 568 members of the House of Representatives in two phases. Phase 1 of the elections is being held over 2 days in the provinces of Alexandria, Asyut, Aswan, Behiria, Benisuv, Fayum, Giza, Luxor, Motra, Minya, New Valley, Kuna, Red Sea, and Sohang, across 5,606 subcommittees in 70 electoral districts. A total of 1,287 candidates are competing in the elections, including 1,143 independents running under the individual system and 142 contesting through the party list system. The results of the first phase will be announced November 18. Still in Africa, Lebanese authorities have released the son of late Libyan leader Muammar Gaddafi after he paid a $900,000 bail, ending his 10-year detention for allegedly withholding information about a missing Lebanese cleric. Hannibal Gaddafi's lawyers, Karbel Al-Khoury, said Hannibal was released yesterday after necessary paperwork was finished. The release comes days after Lebanese authorities lifted Gaddafi's travel ban and reduced his bail, paving the way for his release. On the foreign scene, Syria has signed up to join the international coalition led by the United States to combat the ISIS armed group. The announcement made by Syrian Information Minister Hamza al-Mustafa and U.S. officials came shortly after Syrian President Ahmed al-Sarraj arrived in Washington and was welcomed at the White House by U.S. President Donald Trump yesterday. Al-Mustafa said a political cooperation declaration signed by Damascus with the international coalition confirms Syria's role in combating terrorism and supporting regional stability. The agreement makes Syria the 90th country to join the coalition, which aims to prevent foreign fighters from joining ISIL's ranks and eliminating the remaining elements of the group from across the Middle East. Still on the foreign scene, the United States Senate has passed a crucial funding bill that could bring the longest government shutdown in history to an end within days. The bill, passed in a 60-40 vote yesterday, will see funds released to the government until the end of January. The House of Representatives will now have to pass the bill before President Donald Trump can sign it into effect by Monday. The deal came to fruition after some Democrats joined Republicans and negotiated an agreement to get federal employees back to work and essential services restarted. Still to come in the news. Trevor Calbart set to replace Gohi in England's squad. Stay tuned for details of this and more in a moment. Welcome back and thanks for staying tuned. We move down to the rest of the news stories. On our business news, the presidency is planning to restructure asset ownership in the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited amid concerns over what it called its low oil production. The special advisor to the president on energy, Olu Version, made this known at the ongoing Nigerian Association of Petroleum Explorationists conference in Lagos. Version outlined a bold agenda to revitalize Nigeria's oil and gas sector while ensuring energy security and sustainable development. She stressed that achieving the 3 million barrel daily oil production goal requires performance-based stewardship, even as she questioned the NNPC's capacity to deliver incremental growth. On our health news, the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, has directed a ban on the production and sale of alcoholic beverages packaged in sachets and small bottles below 200 millimeters by December 2025. NAFDAC Director General Mojisola Adeyeye gave the directive during a press briefing in Abuja. According to her, the directive follows a resolution by the Senate highlighting concerns over cheap alcohol drinks packaged in sachets being easily accessed by minors and contributing to social problems. Adeyeye noted that the agency had earlier signed a memorandum of understanding with industry stakeholders to a phased ban, with previous deadlines pushed from 2023 and now December 2025. She, however, noted that the Senate's resolution is absolute and no further extension will be granted, and urged retailers and manufacturers to comply with the directive. Still in health, the Diabetes Association of Nigeria has called on the federal government to declare a state of emergency on diabetes care, warning that the country faces an alarming rise in cases and deaths linked to the disease. The national president of the association, Professor Ejiofor Ogo, said about 11.4 million Nigerians are currently living with diabetes. He, however, noted that the actual number could be more than double, as many cases remain undiagnosed due to a lack of routine diabetes screening. Ugu, in a statement sent to journalists to mark the 2025 World Diabetes Day, disclosed that only a third of those diagnosed receive appropriate treatment, and only about a third of those on treatment achieve good control. Now to the world of sports. Trevor Chalobah is set to join up with the England squad to replace injured Crystal Palace defender Mark Gohi. The 26-year-old Chelsea defender is reportedly due to link up with the squad for England's final World Cup qualifiers against Albania and Serbia. The Three Lions have already qualified for next summer's tournament. Still in sports, 18 players are now in the Super Eagles camp in Rabat, Morocco, ahead of Nigeria's 2026 FIFA World Cup playoff with Gabon on Thursday. Eric Schiller's side, who opened camp on Sunday in Morocco, had their first training session yesterday as the players were available. The likes of Captain William Trostekong, Calvin Bassey and Benjamin Frederick took part in the training session. Other players already in camp: Wilfred Ndidi, Stanley Mwabali, Tolu Arukotare, Alexi Wobi, Chidozie Awazim, Ejuke Chidera, Olakunle Olusegun, Samuel Chukwueze and Moses Simon. The remaining 3 players are expected in camp before the Thursday match with Gabon. On our entertainment news, Sammy West, the brother of actress Regina Daniels, has said that he is ready to go to prison over and over as long as the actress is safe from assault. Recall that Sammy was arrested by the police last week and arraigned before an Abuja High Court following a petition filed against him by Regina's estranged husband, Senator Ned Nwoko, and was remanded in prison custody. Sammy, who regained his freedom from prison yesterday during a video call with Regina, said he is okay with going to jail again to keep his family safe. And that's all we have on this particular news bulletin. Do well to follow us on social media. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website, spectrumtvlive.ng. This has been Spectrum Television News at 12. I am Uyai MM. Enjoy the rest of your day. Good afternoon.